Next, we are going to discuss another conservation method that's we call it is ex situ conservation. Ex situ conservation. This is another called it is off-site conservation. Okay. So what is meant by here the ex situ conservation? Previous we discussed it the in situ conservation. The animal species are protected in natural condition, but here reverse. What are the threatened? What are the threatened animal species? Animal and plant species. What are the threatened plant and animal species taken out? Okay, they are taken out from natural habitats. Taken out from natural habitat and main providing it and placed in a special setting. Providing a place and a special setting. Okay, providing a special setting and we can special care and protection. We can providing a special protection and care. We call it is ex situ conservation. Once again, see this one. So here, what are the threatened animal and plant species? They are taken out from natural habitats. So where it is the disturbed area is present. So such a species, very least species are present. So suppose it's tigers and some of the specific medicinal plants. So those plants and animals, they are taken from particular country or particular forest region. They are taken out from this that is endangered animal plant species, taken out from natural habitat, providing a special place and also providing a special setting, an area such animals are protected and providing a special care. That's we call such a method of conservation we call ex situ conservation. That means here unnatural, there is a unnatural artificial condition we are protected, simply we call. Okay, so ex situ conservation means the threatened or endangered, it is a faunal and floral species taken it from natural habitat and providing a place and a special setting and we are giving a protection and care. We call it is ex situ conservation. Actually this ex situ conservation, the methods are 4 methods are present. So what are they? So first one, the ex situ conservation method. First one, it is the cryopreservation. Second one, in vitro condition. So third one, we call it is tissue culture, and fourth one, what do you call means it is the seed banks. So these are the 4 methods. These are the 4 methods we are considering the animal and plant species. So that means all these 4 methods are we are used. So what are the plant and animal species? Those are taken from natural habitat. We are providing a special care and protection. So these 4 methods. So actually this is providing a ex situ conservation examples. Here are the botanical gardens and zoos and also wildlife safaris. Wildlife safaris. Wildlife safaris means very large an area. So actually it is a large an area. So in that area the animal species are it is a freely living. That's we call it is a wildlife safaris. That is completely restricted. Okay, so that is a man-made. It is a man-made. It is preparing that an area. So man-made areas in that area, that land area, it is they are freely living in the these plants and animal species. So it is completely prohibited areas. Okay, so this is the executive conservation example. So what are the threatened animal species which are protected? So they are taken from natural habitat. We are providing special care. Such an example that such a executive conservation method example botanical gardens and zoos and wildlife safaris. So these are the conservation methods: cryopreservation, in vitro, tissue culture, and seed banks. So first of all, what is meant by here the cryopreservation? So what is meant by here the cryopreservation? Cryopreservation means here the gametes and threatened species preserved. Threatened species are preserved, viable and fertile condition. Viable and fertile condition for a long period. That's we call it is a cryopreservation. Cryopreservation means actually the gametes and what are the threatened species, endangered species are preserved. In which condition? Viable, that means germinatory condition or fertile condition for a long period. That's we call it is a cryopreservation. Actually, what are the gametes? Gametes means it is a plants, anther maybe, or maybe pollen grains maybe, ovum maybe, ovules maybe, or sperms. So all these are we can preserve. We can preserve long period. At which condition means it is a liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degrees centigrade. Okay, minus 190 degrees and minus 190 degrees centigrade region. So this is the what are the gametes and threatened species how we can preserve. So it is not present. Already you learned it is a cryopreservation in the which chapter it is the sexual reproduction in organisms or sexual reproduction flora. Those two chapters we are discussing. So what are the plant species or animal species? That gametes or maybe gamete species is a male gamete or female gametes, maybe plant part, maybe any parts, any plant parts we can preserve in the hundreds of years where it is a liquid nitrogen at minus 190 degrees centigrade. Such a in this condition we are preserve all these are fertile and viable condition of any part we can preserve in such a situation. Liquid nitrogen at minus 190 degrees centigrade. So that's we call it is a cryopreservation. Once again, see, cryopreservation means the gametes and threatened species it is a preserved in which condition? Viable and fertile condition for a long period. That's we call it is the cryopreservation. So one more, it is the cryopreservation. What are the gametes? That means male gametes or maybe female gametes or anther maybe or any part of the plant. So that's we can preserve. So it is a liquid nitrogen at minus 190 degrees centigrade. That's we call it is also cryopreservation. Next, in vitro. Actually, in vitro means lab condition. In vivo, what is this one? Here, in vivo. In vivo means natural condition. In vivo means what do you call? Natural condition. So in vitro condition. In vitro means actually the eggs can be fertilized. Here eggs can fertilize in lab condition. Okay, so in vitro fertilization means the eggs can be fertilized in the lab condition. We call it is in vitro fertilization. Okay, next, fourth one, tissue culture. So third one, tissue culture. Plants can be propagated. Plants can be propagated by using the method we call it is the tissue culture method. Nowadays, so much of hybrid varieties, so that can be produced from this tissue culture method. The plants can be propagated by using the method that can be used the method that we call it is a tissue culture method. So these are also one of the ex situ conservation method. Next, seed banks. So what is meant by here the seed banks? Seed banks means the seeds of different strains. The seeds of different strains. The seeds of different strains of commercially important plant species. Okay, commercially important plant species that can kept for a long period. This preserved such a banks we call it is the seed banks. Once again, see the seeds of different strains. The seeds of different strains of commercially important plants can be preserved for a long period. That's we call it is a seed banks. Okay, seed banks, and nowadays also gene banks in biotechnological and genetic engineering methods wise, genetics based upon so particular genes. The suppose particular plant, it can be production of particular medicinal value, and particular animal that can produce another proteins or maybe antibiotics. Such as genes are identified. The genes are we can kept some long period. Such a banks we call also it is called gene banks. So like that it is the genes. So the genes are the seed banks. The seeds it can be preserved. Different strains. The seeds it can be high yielding variety maybe. It is a highly resistant variety may be produced. Such a seeds or it can be preserved. Such a banks we call it is a seed banks. Okay, so that's why the seeds of different strains of commercially important plant that can kept long periods, that's we call it is a seed banks. Okay, these are the four methods: cryopreservation, in vitro fertilization, and in vitro method, and tissue culture, and seed banks. These are the four methods. Next, after that, so biodiversity based upon this chapter last points. So the biodiversity. So biodiversity is actually it is not a politically not interfere this biodiversity based upon. Actually the biodiversity, the plants and animal species are nowadays it can be disappear because of human activities and radiation based upon. So that's why all the countries, so how it is we are considering this biodiversity, how it is sustained, and how we are getting a benefits. So for that, so they are conducting the Earth Summit. That means the biodiversity Earth Summit. The biodiversity Earth Summit. The biodiversity Earth Summit, where it is conducted, it is a Rio de Janeiro. Okay, Rio de Janeiro. Okay, Rio de Janeiro mainly it is during the time it is 1992. Rio de Janeiro is in 1992. Okay, so that can be conducted. It is the Earth Summit for which purpose means so the biodiversity for conservation of this biodiversity and sustainable development for benefits. For that sake, it can be conducted this the Earth Summit Rio de Janeiro in the 1992 time they conducted, and also the World Summit. So this World Summit also it can be conducted mainly where it is the location means Johannesburg. It is the Johannes. Okay, Johannes, but mainly it is South Africa. So during the time it is 2002, during the time it can be collected. So in this time they can participate in the nearly about it is the 190 to 190 countries that can be participated. So how they are nearly it is 2010 later, maybe it is most of the is species are the that means reduce means how, that means falling, that means here mainly particularly the decrease in the reduction, that means particularly decrease in the plant species, that means extinct species, or it is a reduced, that can be the thought. Okay, that's it. So here there is the World Summit Johannesburg, South Africa 2002, and also the Earth Summit Rio de Janeiro 1992 conducted. So the last is 2020 according to textbook, and after that also 2012 they are conducted in Hyderabad also. So 2012 2010 later, that means 12 after 12 during the time conducted in the Hyderabad region also. It is not in your book. So but here this all these summits mainly by how it is the biodiversity conservation and sustainable development. The species are sustained and also they are developed. What are the products, their benefits are used to human welfare. That for the sake they are conducting this one. So that's why. So here the ex situ conservation methods these are, and already previous we discussed the in situ conservation. So here the biodiversity chapter is completed. Okay, that's it.